Hello guys! I'm about to leave for Lisbon for a couple of days together with my friend. About 10 minutes from leaving and I'm so excited. I'm all packed up and ready and this is gonna be a fun time. So if you care to see some nice views and what I'm up to in that foreign city, I've never been to Portugal before, you can tag along.
And that was the first and also last voiceover of this vlog, since I was simply too distracted and busy to record another one. You'll have to bear with this in hindsight one instead. Another disclaimer, I'm very sorry should I butcher any Portuguese names here, this language is hard, alright? My friend and I traveled only with hand luggage and I found that very time efficient. Would definitely do it again. After our flight and underground journey, we reached a hotel which was located right by the city center. This was our most important criteria. And thank God they had an AC. I would not have slept through the night otherwise. After unpacking, we headed out without much plan to just take in the city and gather our first impressions. Already through the underground stations, it occurred to me that a lot of buildings here are constructed really big and pompous, with marbled floors and big pillars. Also, it's a really colorful and vibrant experience. I especially love the different facades, ranging from golden yellow to a salmony pink color, to whole mosaic walls like I've only known from inside bathrooms. And don't get me started on the scenic small balconies everywhere. Our first evening consisted of checking out where you could eat nice food. For that we strolled down the Rua Augusta, the main tourist road, and we ended up eating there every evening because the food was delicious and it was actually affordable. I'd highly suggest you try the seafood. You have to peel everything yourself, but it's worth it. After dinner we walked along the river Tej, enjoying the beautifully colored sunset. That's where we saw the 25th April suspension bridge resembling the Golden Gate. There was a little bar by the shore where we treated ourselves to a tequila sunrise. On our first full day in Lisbon, we wanted to tread all over the city and explore on our own. Please pack some water with you, it's so important to stay hydrated, especially in a climate that hot. We always got around 30 degrees Celsius, and that was lucky. We searched for the bi-weekly flea market Feira de Ladra, right beside the National Pantheon. I found some nice art I want to put into my next travel journal that I'll dedicate to Lisbon. Whilst climbing the many hills of Lisbon is what it feels like, we had to take breaks. But that's how we sometimes found the most stunning views, actually. And we came across the famous tram lines, but those trams were always completely stuffed with tourists, so we decided against taking one. And there was suddenly a crafts market under the arcades on the right and left of the Rua Augusta arch. That night, we took it easy and ate tapas. On the third day, we got to the Pink Street, which is smaller than I thought and quite dirty. But we took a couple nice pictures anyway. That was on the way to our brunch place that day, a bit on the outskirts of the city, but very tasty and aesthetic. I then tried my first pastel de nata, and I get why they are hyped. Love the vanilla cream in combination with the cinnamon and crispier puff pastry on the outside. We booked a boat tour on the Tej for that day, so we went to the harbour. The boat should take us all down the river until the Atlantic, so we could see the shore of Lisbon. So naturally, we passed the big bridge and the Cristo Rei, the big Jesus statue. It's a adorable little detail, but they painted the foot of the bridge with orcas. The boat didn't drive fast, so it was hot, and there were way too many tourists on that small boat. We made the best of it and enjoyed a cold beer by the railing. I even swam in the, mind you, very cold Atlantic waters, and then we saw wild dolphins, a magical moment. Seeing the city skyline from afar, we now understood why we were so tired yesterday. There are truly many hills to climb here. We apparently crossed the entire Castelo de São Jorge hill to get to the flea market. The most impressive was the Praça do Comércio, the big trading plaza. It's where you would land coming from all the colonies back in the 15 and 1600s. The big arch and the broad Rua Augusta connect this plaza to another one in the city center. So it's all a big statement, really. The main buildings are painted yellow as to be associated with money. As we learned from one of the jewelry traders at the crafts market, Lisbon suffered great damage in 1755 when an earthquake followed by a tsunami and firestorm hit. 85% of Lisbon's buildings were destroyed. That's why many plazas, roads and sidewalks are decorated with black and white mosaic stones as to mourn that great loss which cost Lisbon a trading advantage. Trading moved on to Amsterdam and Hamburg after that. Also, there are so many different motifs in the mosaic and they each have different meanings. It's very interesting. On our last full day, my friend and I booked a day-long tour to Sintra, the mountain area to the west of Lisboa. So we hopped on the bus and began this adventure. First, we drove to the very west of Portugal, to Cascais. The name of that place stems from the Portuguese word of seashell, and it's kind of the Côte d'Azur of Portugal. There is a mansion that was built by a king who loved the ocean, so he could pass his summers there. And of course, the whole court follows the king, so this little fisher town is now one of the most expensive places to live in the country. A lot of people bathe here, but again, it's the Atlantic, so it's rather cold. During the Second World War, when Portugal was also neutral, like Switzerland, they had a lot of refugees, but also spies and double agents. And they would hang out at the beach or hide in their houses by day and then trade secrets in the casino at night. Cascais struck me as equally as colorful as Lisbon, but just way smaller and therefore cuter in a way. Our next stop would be the Palacio Nacional da Pena, where I expected the most tourists. It was truly crowded. Nevertheless, the palace is gorgeous with its different colors due to it being built in multiple steps. The red part, I reckon, was first because it was built upon a monastery ruins. That architecture there looks like a monastery. It was built 1840 by the Portuguese titular King Ferdinand II. Its name simply means palace on top of the rocks. The king built this with his wife and his 11 children in mind. Sadly, the wife died 3 years before the palace was finished. The king then fell in love with a commoner, an American opera singer called Elise. She was born in Switzerland though. They would live there together in the palace and its huge grounds. They even had a small cottage on the opposite side of the mountain to escape the children, and I would host many hunting parties there. In the big yellow circular part of the palace where a round dining hall was, as to represent that there is no hierarchy when hunting. You would have to trust everyone. We tried to take nice pictures without getting too many tourists on them, which was challenging, and I'm glad that I adjusted my capsule wardrobe to the vibrancy of this country. I just love that everything is colorful here. Later we were able to get inside the palace. There was this elegant inner courtyard that, like I said, resembles a monastery-type architecture. And you were able to walk through some of the rooms looking at the old furniture and curtains. Especially the ceilings were impressive. They were built with crossbows like you would see in a church. After the palace, we drove back down the mountain to Sintra, the main town in midst the lush hills. It's where the royal family escaped to from the summer heat, and as before with Cascais, the court followed, and the city started growing. It was a great site for hunting parties and other informal meetings with the nobles. That's why the Palacio Nacional de Sintra has those two iconic conical chimneys. Queen didn't want to get the palace all smoky from the grilled meat and such. There is a pretty mild climate here and higher humidity. That's why it's greener and more lush than would be typical for Portugal. The famous poet Lord Byron resided and worked here at times. He really disliked Lisbon but loved Sintra. He called it the Garden of Eden, and I can see why. We had a quick lunch here and walked about for a bit until it was time to target our last stop for the day, the Quinta da Regailera, quite the special and whimsical estate in Sintra. There are many rumors about this place being a safe haven for alchemists. There were Templars involved, magic overall. All of this reminded me more of Scotland and their ruins and enchantedness. I loved it. We made our way to the initiation well, a reversed tower, if you will, going down into the earth, and you can walk down a spiral staircase along the wall of it. At the bottom lies a pink marbled compass. The story about this well is highly speculative, but it's said that you would come down to your true knowledge when coming here, and when exiting through the caves you would be purified and be reborn, having passed through Mother Earth's womb. For my part, I did get really thoughtful when passing down through the well. I almost dissociated. What I don't know is if that was because I'm gullible, truly sensitive to such things, or just dehydrated. Maybe it was a bit of everything. And that's already our last night in Lisbon. After packing, we searched for the green street, which was cute and full of plants. Then we went for brunch again, and after I ate my last pastel de nata before leaving the city. And just like that, one more swift yet great adventure has passed. I'm truly grateful to be able to have already seen so many beautiful places on this earth, and I hope I won't stop finding new fascinating locations for a long time. The city truly is magnificent, with all its layers and colors and a gentle people, lovely architecture, and great seafood, of course. And I hope you enjoyed my journey alongside me. Even though it's quite a hassle to film and edit these, I think I will do them again once I travel again. Even I can look back on them and relive my memories that are so precious to me and that I was able to capture through my journaling, photos and video clips. Make sure to check out my other content while you're here, and if you like what I do, consider subscribing. I'm happy to have you. Bye!